¿Dónde está el museo? Eh. Then he threw the book across the room. He didn't want the museum. He didn't want the cruise ship. He wanted the girl who lived across the hall, the one who smelled of lilies and had a temper like a summer storm. He realized then that he couldn't keep pretending. He couldn't be Austin, and he couldn't be the safe version of Jack anymore. But as he heard Janet's laughter in the hallway, returning from her date, he knew the deception was the only thing keeping them together and the one thing tearing them apart. Chapter 10. The High-Stakes Garnish. Friday arrived with the kind of oppressive heat that made the asphalt of Santa Monica shimmer. In the kitchen of La Casa del Sol, the atmosphere was even hotter. Jack stood in his whites, his forehead damp with sweat, as he prepared the paella a la Valenciana. He was a whirlwind of motion, slicing peppers, deshelling shrimp, and muttering Spanish verbs under his breath like a frantic prayer. Vaya a la cocina, he hissed to a busboy, who got in his way. Señor Rodriguez watched from the corner, his arms crossed over his chest, his expression unreadable. This wasn't just a dinner, it was a performance. The VIP party consisted of several executives from the cruise line, men who could decide Jack's future with a single nod. "The saffron, Jack!" Rodriguez called out. "Don't be stingy. It is the soul of the dish." "I've got it, senor," Jack yelled back, though his hands were shaking. He was doing it. He was actually doing it. Despite the pressure, despite the language barrier, the kitchen was his domain. He felt a surge of confidence he hadn't felt in weeks. But then, the door to the dining room swung open, and the hostess walked in with a look of concern. "Señor Rodriguez, we have a problem at table 4. A very particular guest." "Who is it?" Rodriguez asked. "A Mr. David Vance. He says the ambiance is lacking, and the wine is insulting to his palate." Jack's heart stopped. David Vance. He peeked through the service window. There he was, sitting at a prime table in a crisp linen suit, and across from him, looking uncomfortable in a beautiful silk dress, was Janet Wood. Chapter 11. The Collision of Worlds. Jack felt like he had been doused in ice water. "Jack, the paella!" Rodriguez shouted. Jack snapped back to reality, but his focus was gone. He looked at Janet through the glass. She looked bored. She looked like she wanted to be anywhere else but listening to David Vance drone on about his vintage car collection. "I'm going out there," Jack whispered. "You are a chef. You stay in the kitchen." Rodriguez blocked his path. "I'm a waiter too, remember?" Jack lied, grabbing a bottle of red wine, the most expensive one on the rack. "Table 4 needs a personal touch. I'll handle the insulting wine." He didn't wait for an answer. He burst through the swinging doors, his white coat stained with tomato sauce, his eyes burning with a mix of professional pride and personal fury. "Good evening," Jack said, his voice dropping into that smooth, practiced tone he used when he was trying not to be clumsy. Janet looked up, and her eyes widened in shock. "Jack?" David Vance looked at him with disdain. "Oh, it's the roommate. Do you work here as well? I suppose the help is always multi-talented." "I'm the executive chef in training," Jack said, his jaw tight, "and I heard you had a problem with our wine. Trágame una botella de vino tinto." "Oh, wait, I already brought it." He popped the cork with a flourish that was almost violent. He poured a glass for David, his hand steady. "Try this. It's a 1974 Rioja. It has notes of leather, dark berries, and a hint of arrogance. I think you'll find it quite familiar." David took a sip, his face reddening. "This is acceptable." "I'm so glad," Jack said, then turned to Janet. His voice softened. "And for the lady? Perhaps a glass of something honest?" Janet looked at him, her heart hammering against her ribs. She saw the sweat on his brow, the sauce on his apron, and the raw, undisguised emotion in his eyes. He wasn't Austin. He wasn't the gay roommate. He was just Jack. "I'll have what you're having, Jack," she said quietly. "Janet, really," David sighed. "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious, David," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Jack, how is the trial going?" "Unsurpassed," Jack said. glancing back at Rodriguez, who was watching from the doorway with a growing sense of amusement. Though I think I might have overstayed my welcome at this table. Wait, David snapped. I want the special, the paella, and make it quick. Jack leaned in close to David, his voice a low, dangerous whisper. The paella takes time, Mr. Vance. It's like a relationship. You can't rush it, and you certainly can't buy it. I'll make sure yours is memorable. Chapter 12. The unraveling. The rest of the night was a blur. Jack cooked like a man possessed. He sent out the paella for table 4 with a garnish so elaborate it looked like a botanical garden. But as he watched from the kitchen, he saw Janet stand up. She said something to David, something that made him look stunned. She didn't wait for him. She walked out of the restaurant, her head held high, leaving her wine untouched. Jack threw his apron on the counter. I'm done, senor. The job, Jack, Rodriguez called out. The cruise ship. Keep the ship, Jack shouted back, already running for the door. I've got a different destination in mind. He caught up to her on the sidewalk, the neon sign of La Casa del Sol casting a red glow over the pavement. The Santa Monica fog was starting to roll in again, cool and damp. Janet, wait! She stopped and turned around, her face streaked with tears. Why did you do that, Jack? Why did you come out there? Because I couldn't stand seeing you with him. Because he's a jerk, and he doesn't deserve to be in the same room as you, let alone at the same table. And you do? She asked, her voice breaking. You, who spends all your time pretending to be someone else. You, who's planning to leave us for some boat in the Caribbean. Jack stepped closer, the space between them crackling with the electricity of years of unspoken words. I was only doing that because I thought I wasn't enough for you. I thought you wanted a stallion. I thought you wanted a cowboy or a chef or a world traveler. I wanted Jack, she whispered. I've always just wanted Jack. He reached out and took her face in his hands. His fingers were still warm from the stove, his skin smelling of garlic and saffron. I'm not going on that boat, Janet, he said. The only place I want to be is in apartment 201. With you. And Cindy. And even Mr. Furley. He kissed her then, not a fake, Austin-style kiss, but a real one. It was a kiss that tasted of salt and longing, of shared jokes and late-night snacks, of a friendship that had finally, inevitably, turned into something more. The fog swirled around them, hiding them from the world. For a moment, there was no deception, no landlords, no roommates. There was just the two of them, finally standing on solid ground. Chapter 13. The morning after again. The next morning, the apartment was quiet. The roses David Vance had sent were gone, replaced by a simple jar of wildflowers Jack had picked on his way home from the pier. Jack was in the kitchen, making coffee. He wasn't studying Spanish. He was humming a disco tune, his movements light and easy. Janet walked out of her room, wearing one of Jack's old flannel shirts over her nightgown. She looked at him and smiled a slow, secret smile that made his heart skip. Good morning, he said, handing her a mug. Good morning, she replied. The front door burst open. Cindy Snow entered, her hair a mess, her eyes wide with excitement. Furley just told me that his brother Bart is coming over for an inspection. We have to get ready. Jack and Janet looked at each other and burst into laughter. Let him come, Jack said, putting an arm around Janet. I think I'm done with the disguises. Are you sure, Jack? Cindy asked, confused. What about the lease? We'll figure it out, Janet said, leaning into him. Together, and as the sun rose over Santa Monica, casting long, golden shadows across the shag carpeting, they knew that whatever came next, landlords, brothers, or even cowboys, they were ready. Because in apartment 201, the best company wasn't 3, it was exactly who they were meant to be. To be continued. The Rendezvous. A Tale of Apartment 201. Prologue. The door at the top of the stairs. Santa Monica in the mid-70s was a city of gold and salt. The air smelled of jasmine and sea spray, and the nights were painted in the flickering neon of the Pacific Park Ferris wheel. At the heart of it all stood a modest stucco apartment building, weathered by the ocean breeze but held together by the vibrant lives within.